Lighter tension is gonna be harder for the hamstrings. I'm gonna try to do a hip thrust with my shoulder blades pushed against the box. I don't wanna arch the spine and just lift the hips up and down. I want to have a long line for my spine, just like I would for plank. I want my eyes to go up and my hips to go up. So carriage stays fairly still. I go down and I go up, down and up. Eventually, you're gonna see if you can work singles where the hips just drop down an inch and up an inch, and then the hips go down full range and up. Trying to keep the balance, maybe some pulsing, maybe some hamstring stretching. It's light tension, so do that very carefully to them. And then let yourself eventually drop down and take a break. Let's just do left leg, and that's gonna count as your first exercise for your left leg. And then I'm gonna have you stand up onto your machine, and we're going to first just do a front lunge. So left foot's gonna go right onto your platform, and you're gonna have your right foot pushing back, and all you're gonna do is lunge forward and back. Create your own sequence, whatever it would be. Whenever you're done, you're gonna take your feet to the platform, and then you're gonna take your feet to the floor, and we'll come down and we'll do a similar set. We're gonna let ourselves go lunging forward, add a kick in there so that you're already bringing the knee into the hip line right away, so that eventually the knee can stay right underneath the hip, and then it turns into stationary. And let's keep the carriage really still as we go stationary, down and up, and then have a moment where we pulse the standing leg and then pulse the back leg. Pulse the standing leg, and then pulse the back leg. Arms can be included, but just be mindful that you might not do it your first time standing on the carriage if they feel unstable. You might just grab your dumbbells once you hit the floor. That's completely up to you. So let's see if we can move our box into a different position. I'm instead gonna take it down to the floor beside me. So once I've finished all of my leg work, I'm gonna have the box already waiting for me on the other side, and I'm gonna see if my hands can go right here onto the cushion at the top of my box, and then I'm gonna see if my feet can go stacking right next to the shoulder rest. My right's gonna go on top of my left, my hips are gonna go up, and my hips are gonna go down. So we'll just do a classic plank to pike where the carriage is moving in and out, and then we'll bring it down, so knees will gently drop down. We'll put our elbows down and we'll do something very similar, but instead bending the knees, coming in, stretching the legs, going out. Barely bending the knees in, stretching the legs back out. So keeping the feet crossed if you can. Option to be on your knees. So if you're on your knees, both knees are fully on the carriage. You would be pushing the carriage all the way out into modified kneeling. You can lift the hips up just like we would plank to pike, and bending your knees in is basically the same thing. The hips just don't lift. They just drag underneath the torso and then right back out. So once you're finished with that, we're gonna see if we can do arms facing the back. So we're gonna grab our strap. You choose the tension depending on what you choose to do, whether it's a yellow or a green. So we can go curl, row, curl, row. See if you can add a little coordination so that the palm flips up. We go narrow row right next to the ribs, palm faces up, and then we go wide row, pull. See if that's challenging enough? You might continue on with the arms if you want to do a little bit more. And then let's see if we can scoot our box forward so that when we lay down and slip our leg all the way into the strap, create any kind of sequence, whether it's a toe tap, whether it's a frogger kick, in and out. You choose. If I was doing a frogger kick, I might go in, out, and then twist towards the strap. You could go heel tap, twist to the strap, and it could turn into inner thighs, in and out. Create some kind of sequence where you include a little bit, if not all of that, into the sequence. And then we would put our strap completely back, and we'd go right back to the top of everything. So that means you would move your box right back onto the carriage, You would go back to your hip thrust, making sure your tension is right. We kept it on yellow, so all that was light, but if you move to a green spring instead to make it a little bit harder,